Have you ever wondered how a single question could completely transform the way you react to life? In this video, you'll discover the key question to ask before reacting, a powerful Stoic tool that will help you. Stay until the end because I'll show you real-life examples, practical techniques, and an exclusive challenge to start applying this question today. Plus, I guarantee every word in this video is designed to give you unique value and immediate results. If you want to master your emotions, boost your productivity, and become your best self, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell to never miss my content. Let's begin. Key question 1. Do you control this, or is it an illusion? If it doesn't depend on you, why let it steal your peace? Do you feel like the world is crushing you? Like everything is slipping through your fingers, like anxiety is suffocating you over what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow? Wait a second, breathe. What if the real problem isn't the outside world, that whirlwind of events and others' opinions, but where you choose to focus your mental energy? What if the key to regaining your calm isn't out there, but within you, waiting to be turned? We live in frantic times, right? News bombarding us, social expectations weighing us down, the constant fear of not being enough, frustration when things don't go as planned. It's exhausting. We worry about the economy, what others think of us, whether it'll rain on barbecue day, the mistake we made years ago, whether we'll land the job. The list is endless. And as our minds jump from one worry to another like a bee trapped in a jar, peace slips through our fingers. We feel powerless, like a leaf blown by the wind, at the mercy of circumstances we can't control. Thousands of years ago, in ancient Greece and Rome, philosophers called Stoics faced similar struggles. Wars, political instability, personal losses, chaos isn't new. And they developed an incredibly powerful mental tool, a kind of superpower for the mind, as relevant today as it was then. One of them, a former slave turned influential teacher named Epictetus, left us a simple yet revolutionary idea known as the dichotomy of control. It sounds complicated, but it's astonishingly practical. Epictetus basically says, hey, stop suffering needlessly. Divide the world into two categories, what depends on you and what doesn't. That's simple. What truly depends on you? Your thoughts, your judgments about things, your opinions, your decisions, your actions, the effort you put into something, your commitment to being a good person. That's it. That's your playing field, your real circle of influence. This is where your true power lies. What doesn't depend on you? Almost everything else. The weather, the global economy, whether your boss likes you, if your soccer team wins, traffic, other people's actions, your health, you can influence it, but not 100% control it, your reputation. You can act with integrity, but can't control what others think or say. The past, it already happened. In the future, you can plan, but not guarantee outcomes. Now, think about how much mental and emotional energy we waste daily focusing on that second category, the uncontrollable. It's like yelling at clouds to stop raining or raging at the past to change it. It's useless, frustrating, and, above all, it steals your peace. Epictetus would say, if it doesn't depend on you, why let it disturb your tranquility? Every minute you spend ruminating over what could have been or agonizing over what might happen and is beyond your direct control is a minute less of peace, a minute less of living in the present, a minute where you surrender your power to external circumstances. The real challenge and the true application of Stoic wisdom to our modern lives filled with distractions and anxiety is learning to consciously redirect our focus. When facing a tough situation or nagging worry, ask yourself the key question, is this within my circle of control? If the answer is yes, like how you react to criticism, how much you prepare for an interview, or whether you choose to get off the couch and exercise, then act. Put your energy there. Make the best decision possible. Do what's within your power with integrity and effort. That's where you have agency. That's where you can make a difference. If the answer is no, like a global economic crisis, a stranger's negative opinion, or a flight canceled due to bad weather, the work shifts. This isn't passive resignation. It doesn't mean you don't care or become indifferent. It means accepting reality as it is in that moment without adding unnecessary suffering through mental resistance. It means practicing what the Stoics called amor fati, love of fate, not fatalistically, but a serene acceptance of what you can't change. And crucially, it means redirecting your focus to what you can control in that situation, your response. Maybe you can't avoid traffic, but you can control your patience, the music you listen to, whether you call a friend, hands-free, or simply breathe instead of letting frustration consume you. Maybe you can't control unfair criticism, but you can control whether you learn from it, let it define your worth, or choose to stay calm and act according to your principles. Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic and Roman emperor, spoke of building an inner citadel, a mental fortress external circumstances can't breach. This citadel is built by strengthening your ability to focus inward, on your judgments and responses, not the external chaos. When you cultivate this skill, you discover a source of calm and resilience that doesn't depend on the world behaving as you want. This isn't a magic formula to erase problems. Life will still throw curveballs. You'll still face hardships, fears, and losses. But this Stoic tool gives you an anchor. It lets you navigate turbulent waters without emotional shipwreck. It conserves your energy for what truly matters, acting where you can make a difference instead of exhausting yourself fighting windmills. It reduces anxiety because you stop carrying the weight of the universe on your shoulders. It builds resilience because your well-being no longer hinges solely on external factors. It brings clarity for better decisions as your mind isn't clouded by panic or frustration over the uncontrollable. So next time you feel the tightening in your chest, that breath-stealing anxiety, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself honestly, where am I focusing right now? Am I trying to control the uncontrollable, fighting the current? Or am I directing my energy toward my own helm, my thoughts, actions, and responses? The peace you seek isn't out there waiting for the world to fix itself. It's right here, waiting for you to decide where to look. That's the ancient wisdom that can transform your modern chaos. Key question 2. What would Marcus Aurelius do if betrayed? Stoic resilience versus modern drama. Do you react or respond? Someone stabbed you in the back. You feel that chill, that boiling rage, that knot in your stomach stealing your breath. Trust shattered. What do you do now? Scream until you're hoarse? Plot revenge that eats you alive? Let bitterness drag you into a dark pit? Wait, take a deep breath. What if there were a different way to handle it? A mental strategy honed over centuries, used by emperors not just to survive such blows but to emerge stronger, head held high. Betrayal hurts. How does it hurt? It's one of the deepest emotional wounds we can experience. It comes from someone we trusted, maybe even loved, multiplying the pain. The natural, almost instinctive reaction is a whirlwind. Anger, confusion, a burning sense of injustice, urges to retaliate or withdraw to protect ourselves. We want answers. We want the other person to hurt like we do. We want the world to know what they did. We dive into drama, replaying the scene endlessly, feeding resentment like a fire that warms us, not realizing it's actually burning us from within. But what if I told you that reaction, though understandable, keeps you chained to the person who betrayed you? You keep giving them power over your emotions, your present. You become a puppet of your own pain. This is where ancient wisdom, forged in battlefields and the halls of the Roman Empire, offers a radically different path. Let's think about Marcus Aurelius. He wasn't an ivory tower philosopher. He was Rome's emperor, the most powerful man of his time, dealing daily with conspiracies, wars, egos, and yes, betrayals at every turn. How did someone like that stay sane without becoming a bitter tyrant? Through his personal writings, meditations, Marcus Aurelius left clues about an astonishing mental fortitude, a stoic approach we can adapt to our modern battles against betrayal's pain. This isn't about denying pain or pretending nothing happened. It's about responding with reason, not reacting with raw, uncontrolled passion. First, acknowledge the fact. Yes, you've been betrayed. Trust is broken. That's objective. But here's the crucial Stoic twist. Separate the fact from your judgment about it. John revealed my secret is one thing. My life is ruined. I can't trust anyone. I'm an idiot for trusting is another. The second part is the story you tell yourself, and that's where much of the suffering lies. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that pain comes less from external events than from our opinions about them. Second, seek to understand, not justify. Marcus often reflected on why people act badly. He suggested they do so out of ignorance, unable to distinguish right from wrong, confused or blinded by their own passions. This isn't excusing them, but recognizing their actions reflect their limitations, not your worth. Paraphrasing him, are you surprised the fig tree bears figs? Why be surprised when the world produces certain things like betrayal? It's inevitable. Seeing betrayal as part of flawed human nature, including the betrayers, helps depersonalize the attack, easing its emotional weight. Third, and most important, focus on your inner citadel. Betrayal is external. It reveals the betrayer's character, not yours. Your real battlefield, your only true control, is your mind and response. Will you let another's actions corrupt your character? Will you mirror their pettiness? Or will you choose integrity, calm, and virtue despite the provocation? Marcus insisted the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. Your strength lies not in retaliation, but in staying true to your principles. Your response is yours. That's where your power and dignity live. Imagine the contrast. Impulsive reaction, a vortex of drama, resentment, sleepless nights, bitter conversations poisoning your present. A fire consuming you. Stoic response, like deep water, surface waves, but calm beneath. A conscious pause, a deliberate choice to manage the wound. Asking, what's within my control here and now? You can't control the past or the betrayer's actions, but you can control your perspective, next steps, whether you learn from this and whether you choose bitterness or inner strength. How to apply this today when betrayal stings? Pause. Don't react immediately. Breathe. Create space between the betrayal and your response. Analyze, what's the objective fact? What's the emotional story I'm telling myself? Ask, what can I control now? My breath, immediate thoughts, decision to speak calmly or step back, commitment to my values. Choose a response that honors you, not one that merely reacts to harm. This might mean setting boundaries calmly, distancing yourself, or processing pain without carrying hatred. Reasoned responses free you. This isn't about being a doormat or suppressing emotions. Feel the anger, feel the pain, they're human. But don't let them rule you. Filter them through reason. Use them as information, not destructive action. True strength isn't in not feeling, but in choosing how to act despite your feelings. Ultimately, handling betrayal like a Stoic emperor isn't about avoiding pain, but transforming it. It's denying the betrayer power over your long-term peace. It's using the wound to strengthen your character, resilience, and wisdom. It's building Marcus Aurelius' inner citadel, a place where serenity doesn't depend on others' loyalty, but on your integrity and rational focus. So next time betrayal's shadow looms, remember the philosopher emperor. You have a choice. Will you let reactions poison chain you to the past? Or will you choose the reasoned response, preserving dignity, healing, and fortifying your inner citadel? Key question 3. Is your worst fear real or mental fantasy? The Stoics already had the answer to anxiety 2,000 years ago. What if I told you the key to overcoming your anxiety and the fear that sometimes paralyzes you is to imagine in detail the worst that could happen? Sounds totally crazy, right? It goes against everything we're told about positive thinking. Stay with me for a moment, because a sharpened wisdom from over 2,000 years ago offers a surprising and oddly liberating perspective on this. We live in the age of anxiety, don't you think? Our minds never stop projecting future scenarios, almost always negative. What if I lose my job? What if I fail at this? What if I'm rejected? What if I get sick? What if something bad happens? That constant buzz of what if steals our present peace and fills us with diffuse dread, a fear of ghosts that may never materialize. This fear often acts like an invisible handbrake. It stops us from chasing dreams, making big decisions, speaking up, or simply enjoying daily life without that dark cloud overhead. We freeze, not because of a real, imminent threat, but because of catastrophes our own minds invent and magnify. But imagine the Stoic philosophers for a moment, people like Seneca, advisor to Emperor Nero, or Epictetus, who rose from slavery to become an influential teacher. They lived in turbulent times filled with real uncertainty, exiles, tyrants' whims, incurable diseases, wars. Fear and the possibility of disaster were constant companions. Instead of hiding or living in terror, they developed mental tools to cultivate inner strength. One of the most powerful and perhaps the most counterintuitive for us today is called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Don't let the name scare you. This isn't about being a pessimist or wallowing in dark thoughts all day. Not at all. It's a specific, controlled, rational mental exercise like a vaccine for the mind. Just as a vaccine exposes you to a weakened virus to train your body, premeditatio malorum mentally exposes you to tough scenarios to train your mind to handle them without panic. How does this madness work? It has several powerful effects. Reduces shock and surprise. If you've never considered a fear, its arrival, or something like it can devastate you. But if you've calmly contemplated that possibility, if you've mentally visited that scenario, the blow, while still painful, won't catch you totally off guard. You've stripped some fear of the unknown because, in a way, you already know it. Seneca said something like, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Reveals hidden resilience. By rationally imagining the worst-case scenario, you often discover you have more resources to handle it than you thought. Instead of panicking, your mind starts strategizing. Okay, if this happened, what would I do? Who could I ask for help? What steps could I take? What's the absolute worst outcome, and how would I survive it? This connects you to your adaptability. Fear's monster shrinks when you face and analyze it. Puts current fears in perspective. Contemplating hypothetical, greater evils like losing your health makes today's problems, an argument, a small work mistake, feel less dramatic. It helps distinguish inconveniences from true catastrophes, something our anxious minds often confuse. Fosters gratitude. Ironically, imagining loss makes you appreciate what you have now. Contemplating illness makes you value current health. Imagining losing a loved one pushes you to cherish time with them. It's a stealth gratitude exercise. How to practice this without spiraling into worry? It's deliberate, not all-day rumination. Spend a few minutes each morning or evening. Pick a fear or anxiety. Visualize it happening. Be realistic. What exactly would happen? What are the concrete consequences? Crucial step, visualize your response. How would you act? What inner strengths would you use? What practical steps would you take? How would you adapt? Remember, you control your response, actions, and attitude, tying back to Epictetus' dichotomy of control. The goal isn't to predict the future, but to mentally prepare to act wisely if adversity strikes. This isn't chronic worrying. Worry is emotional, vague, repetitive, and paralyzing. It makes you feel like a victim. Premeditatio malorum is rational, specific, time-limited, and focused on your agency. It empowers you. Is this negative? Not if done right. It's strategic realism, a mental fire drill. You don't do it because you want disaster, but to know how to act if it comes. It's disarming fear by confronting it in your mind before it confronts you in reality. Seneca warned, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This exercise reigns in that runaway imagination. The benefits are huge: less floating anxiety, more courage to face challenges, better preparation for real hardships, bulletproof resilience, and deeper appreciation for the present. It turns fear from a tyrannical master whispering in your ear into an occasional advisor you can calmly analyze. So next time paralyzing fear looms or future anxiety steals your sleep, dare to try this ancient Stoic antidote. Ask, what's the worst that could really happen? And how would I handle it? You might discover, as they did millennia ago, that you're far stronger than you think, and most monsters vanish when you shine reason's light. Will you hide from the ghost, or dare to stare down with the calm of someone who's already mentally rehearsed the storm? Key question 4. Are you using failure as fuel or an excuse? What Seneca would say about your latest defeat? Transforming obstacles into advantages. You just hit a wall. You feel the blow, the frustration burning inside, maybe shame flushing your face, that bitter, metallic taste of defeat. You stand there, staring at the pieces. What if I told you that hidden in the rubble of this failure might lie the seed of your greatest growth, the raw material for your next big leap? Crazy? Maybe not as much as you think. Failure. That word sends shivers down everyone's spine. We live in a culture that often frames it as the opposite of success, a sign we're not good, smart, or capable enough. We hide it, feel ashamed of it, let it define us. How many times has a stumble, a closed door, or a botched project become the perfect excuse to give up? I tried, but it didn't work, so I'm not cut out for this. It's too hard, better not try again. We let defeat whisper that we are imposters, that staying in our comfort zone is safer than risking another blow. Fear of failure becomes a self-made cage, limiting our potential in ways we don't even realize. Let's travel 2,000 years back to bustling Rome. There we find Seneca, a man who had nearly everything: wealth, power as Emperor Nero's tutor, fame as a writer, but also faced exile, chronic illness, and ultimately forced death. Like other Stoics, he saw obstacles and failures radically differently, not as endpoints, but as inevitable and even useful parts of the journey. They weren't insurmountable walls, but training material. Seneca wouldn't say, "Cheer up, it's fine." He'd acknowledge the blow, then ask a piercing question: "Now, what will you do with this?" For Stoics, external events, including failure, aren't inherently good or bad. They're just events. What defines the situation, what gives it real value, is our internal response, our interpretation, and next action. That's where our power lies. Failure, through Stoic eyes, isn't a verdict on your worth, it's valuable intel. It's the universe saying, "Not this way, adjust this, or prepare better." It's a harsh teacher, but wildly effective if you listen. Imagine trying to lift a massive rock. You fail. The common reaction is frustration, blaming the rock or your strength, then quitting. The Stoic response? First, accept reality. Okay, I couldn't lift it like that. Second, analyze. Why? Do I need more strength? A lever? Help? Maybe the goal isn't lifting it, but going around it. Failure forces you to think, get creative, and reevaluate. Seneca believed hardship strengthened the mind like physical labor strengthens the body. He used powerful metaphors: fire tests gold, storms reveal a sailor's skill. No one knows what they're capable of, he said, until adversity strikes. Failure isn't a stock sign, it's a chance to develop key virtues: resilience, getting back up, patience, understanding effort takes time, humility, admitting you don't know everything, and creativity, finding new solutions. The obstacle doesn't block the path, it becomes the path. It's the raw material for forging your character. How to apply this Stoic fuel mindset today when a defeat weighs heavy? Feel the blow, but don't wallow. Acknowledge frustration and disappointment, they're human. But set a time limit. Don't let them define you. Separate the event from your identity. "I failed this task" is not equal to "I'm a failure." Be objective. What exactly happened? What factors contributed? What wasn't in your control? Hello, dichotomy of control. Find the lesson. What intel is this failure giving you? About your skills? Strategy? The goal itself? Be a detective of your experience. As Seneca might say, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Redirect energy. You can't change the past, but every second spent lamenting is a second not building the future. What's the next possible step, even a tiny one? Focus on effort and actionable choices. Rewrite the narrative. Instead of framing your story as defeat, frame it as learning, resilience, and next attempts. Turn "I failed" into "I discovered what doesn't work," or "I learned to improve X." Seneca faced massive setbacks. Exile could have destroyed him. Instead, he used it to write his greatest philosophical works. He saw obstacles not as punishments but redirections, chances to focus on what he could control: his mind, writing, and philosophy. That's turning poison into medicine. This isn't easy. It takes practice, awareness, and deliberate choice to resist negativity post-failure. But every time you view a stumble not as a final fall but a chance to rise stronger and wiser, you're flexing that Stoic muscle. You're turning walls into steps. Reflect on your last big failure. How do you remember it? As a painful wound that limits you? An excuse to quit? Or can you start seeing it through Seneca's lens, not as a shameful endpoint, but crucial intel, unexpected training, fuel for your next journey? The choice, as the Stoics remind us, is yours. Is it an insurmountable wall or raw material for your next step upward? Key question 5. Do you live as if today is enough? Or is something always missing? The Stoic art of radical gratitude in a world of chronic dissatisfaction. That constant sting of not enough. What if it's a trap you create? Think we chase the next goal, purchase, or external validation. We finish a project, buy that desired item, earn recognition, and briefly there's calm. But soon, the emptiness returns, and we're scanning the horizon for more. Sound familiar? It's like a thirst that's never quenched, a whisper insisting, something's missing. You need more. This endless chase steals the present, anchoring us in hypothetical futures or immutable pasts. Meanwhile, real life, the one happening now, slips through our fingers. We fear failure if we don't achieve more, rage when obstacles block our path, and drown in chronic dissatisfaction, feeling incomplete no matter what. It's exhausting. A race with no finish line, where the goalpost keeps moving. But what if the key isn't chasing more, but seeing what you already have, who you are, here and now? It sounds contradictory in a world pushing us to desire, accumulate, and never settle. Ambition drives progress, yes, but at what emotional cost? When ambition becomes a cage of perpetual emptiness, maybe it's time to question the path. Enter ancient wisdom with brutal relevance today. Stoicism, not resignation or numbness, but a philosophy for the brave, those daring to find strength and joy within, independent of external, elusive more. The Stoics understood a fundamental truth. Peace comes not from controlling the external world, impossible, but controlling our response to it. A key tool? Gratitude, not superficial thank yous, but radical gratitude, the kind that makes you cherish simply being alive, sheltered, fed, breathing, thinking, feeling. Consider this. If you lost everything tomorrow, what taken for granted things would become priceless treasures? That's the Stoic lens. Cherish what you have while you have it. Nothing's guaranteed. As Seneca said, poor isn't the person with little, but the one craving more. Finding wealth in enough is liberation, breaking chains of endless want. Hand in hand with radical gratitude comes a more fatty love of fate. Heavy, yes. Loving what happens, even the bad, yes. This accepting your reality exactly as it is, light and shadow. Not passive resignation, but active embrace. Viewing circumstances not as happening to you, but for you as growth opportunities. Marcus Aurelius saw obstacles not as problems, but the path itself. Each challenge molds you, making you stronger and more resilient. Loving fate means stopping the fight against reality and starting to work with it. Finding meaning even in pain, knowing it transforms you. Practicing a more fatty weakens than not enough sting. You stop comparing reality to fantasy. Instead, you say, this is what is, and with this, I'll build something valuable. You're freed from future anxiety and past regret, anchored in the only thing you truly own, this moment and your choice to respond. How to apply this daily? Start small. Upon waking, instead of dreading tasks, pause. Feel the air. Notice your bed's comfort. Thank your energy. Facing setbacks, don't default to complaints. Ask, what can I learn? How can this grow my patience, strength, or creativity? Look around. What simple things do you overlook? A loved one's smile, good coffee, a sunny walk, your body's functionality. These invisible details hold endless peace and satisfaction, often buried under our rush for more. Stoicism gives tools to build happiness within, a space no one can take. It teaches not to tie well-being to externals, possessions, others' opinions, uncontrollable outcomes. It reclaims power over your mind and emotions. Next time that something's missing, ache returns. Remember, you don't need more stuff or a different life. You need a new perspective. Practice radical gratitude for what is and love the faith that brought you here. In this present moment, if you dare to look, you already have everything. You're already enough. And in that simple, profound truth lies true freedom and lasting peace. Things the world's promise of more can never give. Ancient wisdom isn't just history. It's a practical guide to navigating 21st century dissatisfaction. The choice is yours. Keep chasing shadows or find fulfillment in the light of what you already hold. Key question 6. Is your anger useful or just a selfish luxury? How to tame fury with 3 Stoic questions. Your anger, is it truly yours or just a borrowed time bomb exploding in your face? Think of that rising heat, the knot in your stomach, the speeding voice or icy silence before the storm. We've all felt that powerful and often destructive energy called rage. It makes us say things we don't mean, make impulsive decisions we instantly regret, and harm relationships we care about. It seems to strike without warning, hijacking us into someone unrecognizable. An unexpected critique, frustrating traffic delay, disappointment, and boom. There it is, blinding us, making us feel justified in our fury. We tell ourselves it's natural, even necessary. But is it useful? Or is it a costly luxury paid for with our peace and others? Does that rage solve problems or create more? Imagine for a moment that anger isn't an uncontrollable force dragging you. Imagine that in the split second before it explodes, you have a choice, a tiny window to intervene, to resist the impulse. Seems impossible, right? Especially when injustice or frustration feels overwhelming. This is where ancient wisdom, hardened by time and trials, offers a lifeline. The Stoics knew strong emotions. They lived in tumultuous times, facing daily adversity. They understood anger's power, but also its futility and danger. They developed practices to avoid becoming its slaves. One key was prosok, constant attention to thoughts and judgments, a mental alertness to avoid autopilot reactions. From this practice, we extract shockingly practical tools for modern moments when rage threatens control. 3 mental switches to flip before the fuse blows, simple questions with immense power to diffuse fury. First question, does this truly harm me? Someone says something hurtful. Traffic stalls. Plans collapse. Is it physically harming you? Stripping a fundamental ability? Often, what enrages us isn't the event but our judgment of it. We tell ourselves, this is unfair, it shouldn't be this way, they're an idiot. Our judgment ignites the spark, not the objective fact. As the Stoics understood, external things are neutral. They have no power over us unless we grant it through interpretation. Asking, does this truly harm me, helps separate event from emotional reaction. Second question, what part of this is within my control? Anger flares because things didn't go your way or someone acted against your wishes. But can you control traffic? Others' words or actions? No. Frustration often arises from trying to control the uncontrollable. Stoic wisdom reminds us that only our thoughts, judgments, and actions are truly ours. By asking what's within my control, you redirect energy from external anger triggers to your inner world, where you can act. You control how you interpret situations, choose to feel, and respond or not. Third question, what's the most useful or least harmful response now? Anger drives us to attack, flee, or break things, rarely the most effective or constructive path. This question shifts you from reactive to strategic. Will insulting someone improve anything? Will hitting the steering wheel clear traffic? Will stewing in rage solve the problem? Probably not. The most useful response might be breathing deeply, choosing kindness over sharp words, accepting the situation, or seeking practical solutions. It's aligning your response with reason and the person you want to be, not anger's destructive impulse. These 3 questions, does this harm me? What's within my control? What's the best response? Art magic. Anger is human, but they're an anchor, a conscious pause in the storm. They let you apply Stoic prosode, observing impulses without instantly becoming them. This takes practice. It won't work perfectly at first. Sometimes anger will win, but each time you ask these questions, each time you create space between stimulus and response, you weaken anger's grip. You reclaim power, choosing reason over impulse, serenity over chaos. You apply ancient wisdom to navigate modern emotional challenges. Freedom from anger's tyranny is possible and sometimes starts with 3 questions. Key question 7. What would you lose if you lost everything tomorrow? Voluntary poverty exercise, the Stoic challenge that will redefine success. Resilience training through deprivation. Imagine, just for a moment, tomorrow you have nothing. No home, no job, no stuff, no car, designer clothes, bank account. Nothing. How do you feel? Panic? Fear? A void opening beneath you? It's natural. We're taught that our worth and security lie in possessions, status, external success. Success is measured in square feet, account balances, and stuff. Failure? The opposite, losing it all. This fear of loss, this dependence on externals makes us hostages. We chase, secure, protect, yet with each possession or rung climbed, we feel more trapped, more anxious. The more you have, the more you can lose. What if true freedom and success aren't about what you own, but how little you fear losing it? This is where Stoic wisdom, with its radical focus on inner strength, poses an uncomfortable but liberating challenge: voluntary poverty. Not suffering for no reason, but a brutally effective mental and spiritual training. Philosophers like Seneca practiced this, living minimally on bread and water, sleeping on floors. Why do this when comfort is an option? The reason is brilliant in its simplicity. Voluntary deprivation achieves vital things. Test resilience, prove you can endure discomfort, that you're stronger and less dependent on luxuries than you thought. This directly attacks fear of loss. If you've lived poor, even briefly, terror of forced poverty shrinks. Fear loses its sting when faced. Redefines necessity, strip away luxuries, and you'll find basic needs are few: simple food, shelter, warm clothes. You see how much want you've confused with need. This clarity combats consumerism and chronic dissatisfaction. It separates true well-being from noise and anxiety. Find security within. If you lost everything tomorrow, job, home, money, even health, what remains? Your ability to think, adapt, choose responses. What Stoics call true wealth: virtues, judgment, equanimity. No one can take this unless you surrender it. Voluntary poverty forces this truth: your most valuable assets are intangible. Think, what would you lose if everything vanished? Objects, status, titles, but not who you are. Not your capacity to learn, love, if nurtured, keep dignity, find purpose in hardship. This exercise sharpens the distinction between what's in your control, inner world, and what's not, external unpredictability. How to practice this radically today without moving to a cave. Not permanent poverty, but deliberate training. A tech-free weekend living simply. A minimalist trip. Deep contemplation, meditate on losing everything. How would you react? What inner resources would you use? Mental simulation alone trains you, preparing psychologically and easing fear's grip. This ancient practice counters modern fragility bred by external dependence. We've grown soft, rarely facing controlled adversity. This exercise lets you train for war in peacetime, equipping you to face inevitable setbacks calmly, not desperately. By practicing voluntary poverty, even mentally, you redefine success. True failure isn't losing everything, but losing your character, inner peace, virtue. True wealth isn't what you own, but who you are, and freedom from fearing loss. It's a hard path against everything we're taught, but it leads to strength, resilience, and serenity no money can buy. Key question 8. Do you chase fleeting pleasures or permanent virtues? The hedonic trap versus Stoic eudaimonia. Where do you stand? Virtue as the only true good. What if I told you that chasing feeling good is exactly what's stopping you from being truly happy? Think about it. We live in a culture obsessed with pleasure and instant gratification. We want to feel good now, indulge in food, even if unhealthy, the latest gadget, social media likes, constant entertainment escapism, impulsive shopping, shallow relationships built on momentary chemistry. We're wired to seek the rush, the flash of pleasure, the temporary relief from discomfort or boredom. Then what? You get what you wanted. You feel that momentary spark. But quickly it fades and often leaves emptiness or worse, a craving for more. It's like running on a treadmill. No matter how hard you sprint, you never reach lasting satisfaction. You always need the next hit, the next stimulus. It's exhausting, frustrating, and deeply unfulfilling. This is the hedonic trap. Chasing external pleasures that, by nature, are temporary and leave you craving more. You're stuck in a race to nowhere. Against this backdrop of chronic dissatisfaction emerges an ancient idea with crushing relevance today: the Stoic vision of eudaimonia. No, it's not a Greek cheese. Eudaimonia is the ancient term for true happiness, human flourishing, a life well lived. The Stoics held a radical conviction. Eudaimonia isn't found in chasing external pleasures, which they called indifference, lacking moral value, but in one thing alone: virtue. For Stoics, virtue, the excellence of human character, was the only true good. Why? Because virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, is fully within your control. No one can take it. It doesn't depend on external circumstances. It always benefits its possessor. Pleasure, however, is external, fleeting, potentially harmful, think addictions, and makes you dependent on things outside yourself. Consider this. You can lose money, health, possessions, loved ones, reputation. Life can strip all that away, but it can't strip your wisdom, ability to judge rightly, justice, commitment to fairness, courage, strength to face hardship with integrity, or temperance, self-control. These are inner qualities, true wealth no one can steal. Stoic eudaimonia, durable, unshakable happiness, isn't constant euphoria. It's a state of being. Deep satisfaction from living aligned with reason, making decisions rooted in virtue, even when uncomfortable. It's serenity from knowing you acted rightly, even if external results disappoint. How to apply this? Stop chasing feeling good as your main goal. Start pursuing being good and doing right. Embrace discomfort when virtue demands it. For example, choose courage and discipline to tackle hard work, virtue, over laziness, lack of temperance, and procrastination, lack of wisdom. Tell the truth, virtue, even if uncomfortable. Valuing integrity over convenience, lack of justice/courage. This isn't about eliminating pleasure. Stoics weren't ascetics rejecting all joy. They saw pleasure as a natural preference, fine to enjoy virtuously but never the goal, never worth sacrificing character or peace. What they rejected was dependence on pleasure, the idea it's essential for happiness. Stoic wisdom offers a map to escape the hedonic trap and build a life on solid foundations. True satisfaction comes from within, cultivating who you are, acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. You might not always feel euphoric, but you'll gain something far more stable: peace from a clear conscience, strength of virtuous character, and happiness independent of external winds. That's Stoic eudaimonia, the true secret to a fulfilling life, available to anyone brave enough to look beyond fleeting pleasures and build wealth where it can't be stolen: in their soul. Key question 9. Do you cling to what should be or embrace what is? Epictetus' phrase that will destroy your toxic expectations. Radical acceptance versus needless resistance. What if I told you that almost all your daily suffering isn't from what happens, but because you fight what happens? Think of your last frustration, anger, or disappointment. Was it the event itself, or the event clashing with your belief in how things should be? Traffic shouldn't be this slow. That person shouldn't have said that. My plan should have worked perfectly. They should act differently. We carry a mental map of how reality should be, rigid expectations for others' behavior, project outcomes, and the world's response to our desires. When reality deviates, which it always does, we collide with it. That collision fuels pain, anger, anxiety, and disappointment. We are in a constant war against what is, entrenched in what should be, a war we can't win because reality simply is. It doesn't care about our map. This resistance, this inner fight against facts, is exhausting. It drains energy, steals mental peace, and traps us in a cycle of negative emotional reactions. These are toxic expectations, inflexible beliefs about how the universe must operate for us to be okay. They make us feel like victims at the mercy of an uncooperative world. But what if you could step out of this battle? Find peace not by changing reality, often impossible, but by changing your relationship with it? Yeah, Stoic wisdom, distilled by philosophers like Epictetus, a freed slave who understood true freedom, gives us one of history's most transformative phrases. A phrase that, if internalized, can erase immense suffering. Epictetus, in his life manual, The Enchiridion, wrote, "Don't seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish events to happen as they do, and you'll be happy." Pause. Wish events to happen as they do. This isn't passive resignation. It's radical alignment with reality. Acknowledging that right now, things are exactly as they are. Your flight is delayed. Someone said something hurtful. The business failed. It rained on your picnic. These are facts. Fighting them mentally, it shouldn't be raining, doesn't change facts, it amplifies suffering. Epictetus proposes a shift in will. Instead of wishing reality bends to you, align your wishes with reality. Want things to happen as they happen. This doesn't mean liking bad things. It means accepting they've occurred. It's the critical distinction between acceptance, this is what is, and approval, I like this. Stoics were clear, you can prefer health over illness, success over failure. But when the unpreferred occurs, your peace mustn't depend on changing it. By wishing things to happen as they do, you free massive mental and emotional energy once wasted on resistance. You stop crashing into reality's walls. And by surrendering the fight against the uncontrollable external events, you redirect energy to what you can control, your response, thoughts, and actions. Radical acceptance of what is the first step to constructive action. You can't solve a problem by denying it or raging that it shouldn't exist. Epictetus' phrase grounds you in the present. Okay, this is what's here. Now, how do I respond with wisdom, courage, and justice? Applying this daily requires constant self-awareness. Catch toxic expectations as they clash with reality. Hear the voice saying, "This shouldn't be happening." Pause. Breathe. Remember, wish it to happen as it does. Not because you approve of bad things, but because it's reality, and only by accepting reality can you navigate it. This practice is humbling and hard. It defies our control instinct. But it builds unshakable inner strength. It makes you resilient. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of endless disappointment. It grants peace untethered from the external world's whims, peace rooted in accepting life as it comes and responding as your best self. Epictetus' phrase isn't just a quote, it's an instruction manual for dismantling the suffering machine built by rigid expectations. Ancient wisdom, simple in form but revolutionary in impact. Wish things to happen as they do, and you'll find happiness isn't a destination reached when the world obeys you, but a state of being cultivated when you stop fighting life as it is. This is Stoic self-mastery, freedom and peace found by aligning your will with nature's, accepting reality as your starting point. Key question 10. Would you be free if you erased your opinions about others? Stoic judgment, how to disarm social toxicity with a perspective shift. Marcus Aurelius' teaching on the irrelevance of others' opinions. Imagine for a second that others' opinions about you, your choices, your life simply don't exist. How would that feel? For many of us, others' opinions are like a giant shadow trailing us everywhere. We worry about what friends, family, coworkers, even strangers on social media think. We adjust how we dress, speak, make decisions, even dream based on what we assume others will approve or disapprove. We live largely imprisoned by external judgment. We strive to fit in, be accepted, and earn validation that says we're okay, we're enough. Fear of judgment, criticism, or rejection keeps us in an invisible cage. It stops us from being authentic, taking risks, and drains us mentally as we curate a perfect image to please everyone, an impossible task. This dependence on others' opinions breeds constant anxiety, insecurity, and deep social toxicity rooted in our minds. We waste immense energy guessing, fearing, and reacting to others' thoughts, energy we could use to build the life we truly want. But what if those opinions have no real power over you? What if you realize you've handed the keys to your peace and freedom to people who barely know you or are too busy judging themselves to judge you? Enter one of the most liberating Stoic teachings, articulated with clarity and compassion by the philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. He faced constant public judgment, flattery, criticism, and distrust. His conclusion? Seeking external approval or fearing disapproval is a dangerous distraction and a form of slavery. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself of the irrelevance of others' opinions. Paraphrasing his ideas, what real value does another's judgment hold? Their opinion often stems from ignorance. They don't know your motives, story, or context, their own biases, insecurities, or fleeting societal trends. Opinions shift like wind. What's praised today may be scorned tomorrow. Basing your self-worth and path on something so volatile is building your house on sand. Moreover, another's opinion can inherently harm you. It can't touch your character, virtue, ability to think, or choice to act rightly. They're just words or thoughts in someone else's mind. Their power over you is the power you grant them. If you know who you are and act on your highest principles, wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, why care what others think, especially if their judgment isn't rooted in reason or facts? Marcus Aurelius understood that the only opinion that matters is that of reason, your conscience aligned with virtue. Did I act honestly? Was I fair? Did I show courage? Did I exercise self-control? If yes, if your virtuous inner voice approves, the noise of external opinions becomes irrelevant. If you acted poorly, others' judgment still matters less than a lesson learned and your resolve to do better next time, something only you can judge and change. Applying the Stoic teaching in modern life is an act of personal rebellion. It requires constant training to catch the automatic urge to seek validation or fear judgment. When you hesitate to act because of what will they say, or feel stung by criticism, pause. Ask, why do I care about this opinion? Is this person a beacon of virtue or wisdom whose rational critique I should consider to learn? Or is it just noise filtered through their biases? Most often it's the latter. Practice mentally placing these opinions in a box labeled external and uncontrollable. Don't fight them or try to change them, you can't. Just don't let them enter your sacred mental space where your peace and self-respect live. Instead, refocus on your behavior and intentions. Ask, am I acting on my values? Am I being who I want to be regardless of who sees or approves? This practice doesn't make you insensitive or arrogant. It makes you free. Free to make authentic choices, pursue goals without external permission, and be yourself without the mask of fear. True freedom isn't doing what you want without consequences. It's not being chained by fear of others' opinions about your actions or you. Marcus Aurelius' wisdom offers an escape from the prison of others' judgments. It reminds us that our worth isn't traded in the public marketplace of social validation, but cultivated in the private garden of our soul through virtue. Ignoring others' judgments by not depending on them for your well-being or self-definition isn't selfish, it's self-preservation and the foundation of genuine self-mastery. It's the path to true freedom. That's it for today's video on the key question to ask before reacting. I hope it inspired you to pause, reflect, and respond with the Stoic serenity we can all cultivate. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a strategy to transform your daily life. Leave a comment below telling me which question will you try first and why. I want to hear your experiences and insights. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video with more tools to master your emotions and live with purpose. Until then,